Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered, today in the Carbot client. This is the StarCraft Remastered skin. Well, StarCraft cartoon skin in the Remastered client. If you want to link to it, I will link you to it if you want to play this way. Or if you have questions about it, I'll link you to the website. But basically, Carbot Animation is a YouTube channel that does cartoon animations for all of Blizzard's products. Overwatch, World of Warcraft, StarCraft, StarCraft 2, Diablo as well. And if you want more, just search Carbot Animation on YouTube to be entertained. Alright, so right side of the map here today on Python is the orange Protoss player. It is MaNa. And in the bottom left-hand corner, it is the teal Terran player, Morrow. Alright, so here on Python in the Carbot skin, bit of a PvT action coming at you today. Should be a good one. These two players know each other extremely well. Have played each other 100,000 times. You can't even stay on you noob. Whoa, MaNa! I'm pretty sure this is joking around. I feel like this is MaNa and Morrow just knowing each other well enough to just give each other grief every once in a while. Yeah, your country is smelly camping noob. My dog just farted, said MaNa. So MaNa's from Poland. That's why it's smelly. This is good. I like these guys a lot. And then Morrow, I always forget exactly what country he's from. But according to the internet, Morrow is Swedish. That's right. The Swedish Terran player over here. The dog adapts to you. You will be like this fart. This is an entertaining open. I'll give you that much. He wouldn't fart. If you didn't fart him in his face. What is happening right now? No probes allowed. Look at this wall. It definitely has a wall for that probing probe. Just trying to figure out what's going on inside the Terran base. No, says Morrow. It is not allowed. Stay out now. Meanwhile, just an old gateway cybercore opening. Nothing too crazy here. Out of MaNa. Did actually recently cast MaNa in StarCraft 2 last week as part of the Africa World 49. It's just a 4-player little tournament. You do a best of 5, and then best of 7. The winner takes home cash. It was MaNa, Bly, Clem, and who was the other player, Falcon? You just cast them. Was it a Protoss or was it a Terran? I don't remember. Brain falling apart. Anyway, it was those guys. And it was fun. MaNa did really well for himself. Played against Bly. Bly is super aggressive as a Terran player, which works in some matchups and doesn't in others, depending on the style of the aggressiveness. Anyways, we have a game happening here. Expansion going down for MaNa. Not super greedy. It was not a one-gate expand. He definitely wanted to get out some Dragoons. Is he going for Singularity Charge? He's not going for Singularity Charge yet. He's actually going for an expansion first. So he's not going to be aggressive here whatsoever. The probe just trying to see when the timing for the expansion is for the Terran. So he knows he has to worry about aggression or not. Singularity Charge getting started for MaNa now. And I kind of like this. Out of MaNa. He's got an expansion coming up back home. Sure, this is crazy aggressive. With... Well, actually, I'm a liar. I thought that was going to be another barracks. That's a command center footprint, which I think is just basically the same size as a barracks footprint, which is sometimes confusing, but whatever. You do what you can do, right? So yeah, just going for a 1 racks into a factory, probably getting some tanks in the face of some potential Dragoon harassment. SCV comes in for the scout, sees the expansion, sees the second gateway just now coming up, sees the existence of 1 Dragoon, and says, so MaNa's not planning on being aggressive either. So the player is going to move into a pretty standard little macro-style game. There's an unspoken gentleman's agreement for that. MaNa says 2-0, which I don't know if this is the second game in a best of 3 they're playing. Kind of feel like a lot of the replays that I have are just practice matches for people in the TSL. Which, makes sense. They're still playing hard, though. You got no scouting intel, says Morrow. That's a fair point. So what? Says MaNa. Who needs scouting intel? I will kill your dog! What is happening? I don't have a dog! Oh, the counter. The counter from Morrow is so good. I'll crash your face. Dogs are for Polish. Wow, Morrow has some thoughts about this. Man is highly entertained by these comments. Probe dies. So the command center can land. Morrow says 1-2. Is that the number of kills they have? I've killed one of your units, you've killed 2 of mine. That might be what that is. They're just keeping track of the number of units each player has killed here, which is hilarious. If they can keep track of that through the whole game, I'll give them each like a cookie. And not an oatmeal raisin cookie either, a good chocolate chip cookie. So we're making it up already, which really, not to be surprised here. Terran players will go for the mech every time in TVP. I think people will love our chat. They certainly will, MaNa. They will love your chat. I'm tagging you in the tweet I make about this video. What people? Haha! Morrow doesn't know. Morrow doesn't know that we're watching this right now. Again, I think these are just replays. Replays from practices. So yeah, who'd go through this and watch this other than insane people who really love Brood War? Like me. I really like Brood War, you guys. So, blah, blah, blah. What are we doing? Drop ship, la, 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 la. Faster vulture movement coming out first before spider mines. Really defensive here, dealing with vulture harass. Is MaNa going to be hard to get through here with vultures at all? I don't know that Morrow's really planning on it, although speed for vultures indicates he could be. He could be planning on a ton of those. But the dropship means you could drop inside the main base and not worry about coming in through the front door, and there's no smelly, evil dragoons in the main base to stop you from doing this. I like it. Faster vulture movement. It's about 50% complete here. Observers in production worrying about spider mine production, but again, spider mines have not been researched yet, I believe. Yeah, they have not. No spider mines. Both players just kind of hanging out at this stage of the game. Additional gateways on the way, making probes all of the time. Never stop making probes, never stop making SCVs. Always be making supply depots and pylons. That's how you win this game. And a third base coming up for Morrow in the bottom left too. Like it. That's what the dropship was for. The dropship was for expanding down here quickly. It is a minerals only base. There is no gas here. I say there's gas here. It was hidden behind the minimap. So there is gas here. So it is a full-on third base. Definitely worth getting if you're trying to out-macro your Protoss opponent. Like it. Like this move from Morrow quite a bit. Singularity charge is done. Spider mines are getting started now, but they're not nearly close to being complete. Tanks are done with siege mode, though, and pretty scary against Dragoons, although with enough Dragoons, you just march on top of the tank and kill it. And it can do, what, damage to one of your Dragoons before that happens? Yes, that's about it. So pretty vulnerable right now is Morrow. Going for that third base early is problematic. MaNa has some thoughts about something. Was he going after this drop? He was going after this dropship. 17 HP on that dropship. He wanted to get it. He missed it. There are some zealots up here, but they can't deal anything to the dropship. So, all right, vultures getting on it. They don't have spider mines yet. I think he was trying to time it to where he had spider mines, but he does not. So a couple probes die, but that could have been a lot worse. Honestly, so far so good. Dropship down with a tank inside. Nicely played. Morrow's got to be kicking himself over that one. He was not very careful with it, unfortunately. Observer does not die. Takes all the mandated shots from a missile turret that it needs to, but does not end up dead after all. So yeah, third base done. Do we see any sign of a third base for MaNa here? The answer is no. Nope, he's just making a ton of Dragoons, making Zealots, working on pylons, so he doesn't get supply blocked, because getting supply blocked is a bad feel. Always, for sure, be making buildings to prevent that sort of thing from happening. Academy in production. Observers in really nice scouting positions. When's the Terran player going to move out? This observer knows. What's he making in these factories? This observer kind of knows. Look at him just out of the range of this missile turret. That must be visible. Is that visible? That's not visible. Wow. I thought turret range was a little bit further than that, but no. Learn something new every day. Spider mines just kind of laid out in different spots along the map for vision and for catching unawares Dragoons and smashing them in the face. Is that a fourth base? Morrow. He's getting a fourth CC before the Protoss is working on a third Nexus. That is insanity. 105 to 186 total supply in favor of MaNa, which means he has a much bigger army. He does not have attack upgrades yet, nor is he working on them whatsoever, but the Terran player isn't either, so I think that's okay if everybody's just rolling with 0-0. So here comes a big old Dragoon attack. The tanks are spread, which is nice. The spider mines exist, but the range is done on the Dragoons, and there's an observer here. So could be best, could be worse, could be better. Again, vultures are here to tank damage for the tanks. Trying to get spider mines hit on the zealots. They don't have speed yet. They're absorbing some shots pretty nicely. Trying to get in here so the friendly fire splash causes problems. I'm liking it. I'm liking this a lot right now. Out of MaNa, marching in here, taking down, probably going to take down a barracks for scouting. So noob, says MaNa. That base goes down. Fourth base, no. Getting a fourth base against MaNa, what were you thinking? And then, oh no, my Nat. Look at all this bad stuff that happened over here. Man, this green is really hard to see. Like, incredibly hard to see on the mini-map. Because the green is the same color as the green in the flora and the fauna. Alright, well, anyway, Vulture's trying to focus down probes, which is awesome of them. It's exactly how you do. I like how MaNa called out the noob response and then got Vulture dropped immediately afterwards. That is some good karmic retribution, if you ask me. Spider mines are rid of. Like, a cannon here would not be amiss, I don't think, but hey, spending money on static defenses for noobs. Definitely not for players that are of this level, as it turns out. Third Nexus is in production here. So minerals only production, which is fine. He needs a mineral dump anyway, so he's going to have a ton of minerals for all the zealots that he needs to make regardless. I guess that's not a mineral dump. You want the zealots. You need the zealots. If you're just dragoons, you die. Just dragoons dies to mass tanks without question. You need the zealots to get in there, drag spider mines into the tank lines, blow them up, get on top of the tanks themselves and do damage. Dragoons are bad at all of these things. But zealots are good at it, especially if they have leg upgrades and they have armor. So we'll see. We'll see if we get there or not with the armor. Again, nobody has any upgrades whatsoever unless I miss something. No, it's a 0-0. That's a 0-0. So upgrades, again, are for lesser wimps. That's how I'm going to characterize this today. And a bit of engagement here. Wow, MaNa's going for it. For a second, I thought he was poking in, but he is definitely going for it right now. Jumping on top of the tank. Spider mines are doing a great job against the zealots to some extent, although enough remain to be problematic against these. MaNa continuing to march on in here, causing problems. The fourth base for Morrow is forced to lift off for the second time today. Not allowed to have a fourth base, says MaNa. I'm not sure he entirely knows about this third base, but he's been denying this fourth base for a while now. And happily mining are these probes. 36 workers to 55. Man, that early Vulture harass really kind of slowed him down. And the dropship is moving out here from Morrow. So we'll keep an eye on that here, but continuing to push here, there is one tank, two tanks, well, three tanks in between Morrow and Oblivion, dropping vultures on the third base. No probes here. Going into the main base here at the same time as he's defending this Dragoon push. And they're attacking a pylon instead of the probes. Microing into places at once is extremely hard to do. There you go. Going after the probes here while at the same time defending against this Dragoon push with spider mines, with tanks, with vultures. Holy smokes. It's 26 workers after that vulture harass. This is bad. This is really, really bad. Speedbot's coming in to try to deal with these vultures. Again, not macroing all that well because this is still happening at the front. Vultures continue to die. But it's 55 to 28 workers in favor of Morrow right here. Morrow's vulture harass has been absolutely godlike today. MaNa is on 3 bases and at 28 probes at 13 minutes. That's insanity. That should not be the case at all. Spider-Man Zealot eats it right to the face at the third. Dragoons trying to get some pressure on. They recognize their opponent's out macroing them. They keep losing probes. They're behind in economy immensely. It's 105 to 87 supply. A lot of these are SCVs, but the longer the game goes on, the better it is for Morrow. Continuing to lose tanks is bad, however. Let's not continue losing tanks. Shuttle in production here for MaNa. He says, turnabout is fair play. I love the cannon in the mineral line and the natural base. And there's a cannon in the main base mineral line now, too. Okay, static defense is for people who need it, as it turns out. So if MaNa needs it, you should get some, too. Protoss players. It helps you with drops, for sure. Another base top left for Morrow. So he is getting a fourth base, and he's relanding his fourth. So this is actually a fifth. Meanwhile, huge vulture attacks swinging on in to the third base. Probes getting focused down. There's a couple Dragoons here, but the vultures do not care. They're going to keep killing your probes. Thanks, remember, you were at 28 probe count. You're still at 28 probe count. How does that feel? Bad. It feels really bad, says MaNa. There's a shuttle rolling around and reveals itself to these vultures, trying to stay out of range of the cannon fire. Not doing too well with it. But still, 28 probes. It is 28 probes again MaNa is trying to triple pump probes out here, but he keeps losing them. Morrow is doing a fantastic job. Fantastic job of harassment. 3 vultures versus a dragoon with a Spider-Mine assist. The vulture's going to win that one. Crikey, I think Morrow's got this thing won. He doesn't generally do super well versus MaNa. It generally comes down to big problems with stasis, but if you can keep your Protoss opponent away from stasis because they're too busy building probes to build arbiters, I think you're in a pretty good spot. So Morrow fans, rejoice for this one. I didn't really expect him to be in this good of a position at this stage of the game, but again, what the? Oh, that is it. He is mining from gas here, right? Okay, so being on 2 gas, without even taking a refinery in the top left here either. He's got some idle SCVs, which is a problem. He needs to put those guys to work. Morrow floating a ton of minerals right now. Making as many vultures as he can at a time right now. Is he supply blocked? No, he's not. He really just needs to be making more vultures in order to keep this thing rolling. He's got a big lineup of spider mines and whatnot. Morrow hanging out. He's got a pretty big army of zealots. Big group of dragoons here as well. He's floating gas is his problem. And he is transitioning into carriers. Okay, so we're making double Stargate with the Templar Archives and air weapons, which indicates we're going to see some arbiters, we're going to see some carriers, we're going to see some stasis. He's just transitioning into carriers right now. That is something that Morrow needs to be aware of. He needs to start making Goliaths, and he needs to stop making vultures. Maybe not entirely. He does need some vultures because there's going to be a ground army for MaNa here. This isn't straight carrier. This is a lot of dragoons. This is going to be some zealots. Having vultures for spider mines is going to be really useful. And there's the fleet beacon coming in right up here at the top. Not a great place to scan for Morrow. He's probably going to scan down here more than anything else, but he has been scanning quite a bit, as we can hear now. And if we see him start to make Goliaths, we'll know what's going on. Vultures getting into the natural base. This has just been a continual problem for MaNa. This has been a massive problem for the Protoss player today. Probes continue to die here by the dozens. I wish there was a probe killed count, but keeping track of what the probe count is now after attacks is incredibly useful. The zealots are going to try to drop down on top of these vultures. The cannon's causing them problems, in fairness, but we're down to 39 probes. It was 28 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes later, it's 38. That's not enough for a 3-basing Protoss, but he's working on Storm. He's working on another Nexus down south, which I was going to say there are some enemies here, but they're just spider mines, which don't really count. Can the vultures just walk in here, or is this high ground? I feel like it's high ground. The vultures would be in there now. Yeah. There's that. That is blocking it in. So you have to fly in. This is an island being defended. But I mean, Morrow's got to feel pretty good. He's up 186 to 114 supply at this stage in the game. High Templar cruising around for that storm play against the vultures, against the tanks, against the Goliaths. Carrier capacity in production, still not making any Goliaths whatsoever right now, is Morrow, which is fine. He doesn't really need to start pumping Goliaths until the carriers start popping out. So I would argue so far so good from him. He's doing the right thing, but he needs to start into Goliaths sooner rather than really late. He's expanding down to the 6 o'clock here too. He's kind of setting up for another base just to the right of that. Morrow's macro is through the roof. He's going 12 o'clock and a 6 o'clock expansion at the same time. And there's really nothing that MaNa can do about it. MaNa has a bit of time where he can't be super aggressive because he's spending a lot of his resources on upgrades and carriers that do nothing for him at this stage. There's the revolver coming out of the side of that fleet beacon there. Again, Carbot's spin on what things look like in StarCraft when animated. Always pretty good stuff. I enjoy it. Spider mines are happy. Hey guys, we're just here to blow you up. We're very happy. 4 factories at a time in production for Morrow. His macro is insane. He has taken this entire map. He's taken the entire map. 192 to 129 supply. So now here the problem is, once you're maxed out, if you allow your opponent to catch up to you by not attacking them, they will be maxed out soon as well. Some good storms there. Loving the good storms. But the mass vulture getting on into this third, and the cannons are really no use at this stage. So probes trying to get out, but ow. 46 probes. Not a great number. And then suddenly the carriers have arrived. 7 Goliaths were already in production. Karam boosters had begun. The base is dead anyway. The carriers aren't very fast at killing these units. They will kill them without opposition. But it does take them some time, especially if they don't have a lot of interceptors and there aren't many carriers in the first place. Dragoon army from the south. Trying to move on up and deal with these vultures, but you know, a run by into every mineral line here would not be a bad call from Morrow. I think he's doing it. He's at least going into the main base. He's using the tanks to the best of his ability versus these Dragoons as long as they have viability, which is now, but not for very much longer. But oh my gosh, the probe massacre. The probe massacre of 2020 is here. We're back down to 28. We're back down to 28 probes, you guys. This has been Morrow just absolutely taking MaNa to the woodshed and massacring him. It's 90 to 21 workers. 90 to 21 workers right now. Goliaths are being produced 7 at a time. MaNa doesn't have the economy to keep pumping carriers like this. These vultures are actually so bored, they're taking down pylons that are powering a lot of these gateways. Cybernetics core to deny upgrades would not be a bad thing either. He already depowered it. Can he take it down before these carriers get rid of him? He might actually have to use a storm to stop this from happening. But no, the carriers are dealing with the vultures just fine. Cybernetics core does not go down. But look at this, 168 to 111 total supply. Morrow's producing Goliath like there is no tomorrow. They have the Charon boosters upgrade. They are working on vehicle weapons now. Additional upgrades for the carriers are just about done. I think they're working on +2 now, would be my guess. Yeah, +1's done. +2 is on the way. Making himself a starport, probably for science vessels at this stage of the game, if I had to guess. And here we go, Goliath tank. Pretty good. Pretty good, significantly well set up here from Morrow. The Goliaths are target firing the ever-loving crap out of these carriers. Getting some serious hits off of them, then pulling back once you get too far away from the tanks. The tanks are here to deal with the Dragoons. The Goliaths are okay at it, but the tanks are better. $182 to 100 supply. If MaNa comes back in this game, I'm going to be eminently impressed. I might have to rearrange my perceptions of where these players live on my mental rankings of Brood War over time, because I feel like MaNa is much better than Morrow is. Maybe not much, but definitely better than Morrow is. And if Morrow just goes wire to wire and wins this thing, I'm gonna have to reevaluate. And also, if MaNa comes back after being in such a terrible position, I have to reevaluate Morrow. So no matter who wins or who loses, there's going to be some things I'm looking at in this game as to their relative skill versus the other player. So wherever MaNa goes here, he has to deal with the spider minefield and some turrets. And the Goliaths are pretty fast as far as the response unit are concerned. See, watch, they're coming down, and yeah, tank treads are pretty zippy. Goliath legs are not slow either. Is there an... Okay, I was going to say, there is an observer with this army, yeah? So the tank's set up. Dragoons kind of attack into this. There's some crazy storms happening here right now. That is just so much. So much Charon booster. I mean, they're doing a great job attacking the bodies of these carriers, but even if they're not, they're dealing interceptor damage like crazy. MaNa's at 28 probes, you guys. He hasn't really replaced them all that much. He has this bottom right base, and he has his natural, but that is all he's rolling with. It is an impossible hill to climb. I'm going to call this a nigh impossible hill to climb here. If you're trying to win this from this position, it's double the supply for Morrow right now. And the carriers can go ahead and abuse the high ground all they want. As the Goliaths get focused, great storm there on top of the mech unit. Doesn't kill them in one shot, but does weaken them and make it easier for the interceptors to burn them down. 178 to 91 supply. Have any carriers died? I'm not sure there have. There's 7 out right now, which is a decent number. That's the sound of observers getting picked out of the sky there, too. So yeah, we're taking every base on the map, with the exception of the top right and this one down here at about the 530. Yeah, I mean, MaNa doesn't have the gas income to do this. He's sitting on 100, 100, where Morrow's at 5,000, 1,000. He's got a bank to remax as necessary. And MaNa just doesn't. He needs the most godlike carrier control of all time. And for Morrow to forget that he can target the bodies of carriers is what he has to do. I mean, this is... I don't want to call it bait necessarily, but this is trying to bring MaNa out into the map So he has to engage directly instead of being able to gauge where there's this high ground for him to hide on. But the fact that MaNa is down in this game means he has to be a little bit more aggressive than he otherwise would be. Remember how I was like, the Goliaths don't need to attack the bodies directly? I think it's probably time to start doing that, actually. Yeah, +1 attack. Carrier group is still 7 somehow. I don't know if he's lost a carrier today. I haven't heard the sound. Okay. That was kind of abuse right there. MaNa just straight up killed every one of those Goliaths. I don't think he lost a carrier. The problem is there's a new Goliath group to deal with, which is annoying, which is really annoying stuff, as MaNa is trying to replace his Dragoon group. There you go, getting some hits off. Take one down. For me, he's focusing down the wrong ones, though. There's ones that are supremely injured. And I don't know if this is MaNa somehow setting it up to where it's hard for Morrow to target the wounded ones or not. This is MaNa being Gosu, but Morrow's found the bottom right base, which is an invaluable source of gas right now, because this is almost expired at the natural base. The main base is almost expired too. It's virtually expired at this point. The tanks, with their +1 attack, are merciless in taking down this Nexus. That's going to slow down the income. There's an engagement up here with some Dragoons just getting caught out in the middle of nowhere and a massacre by the Goliath. The tanks are all dead, yes. The probes survived, and that's a big deal. But Morrow just marching in to the natural base. Hey, you had a source of income here, right? Let's get rid of this. See how you feel about it. I noticed the players have gotten a lot less chatty as this game has moved along. Another Nexus down. Oh my gosh, another Nexus down. Okay, so the income here for MaNa is approximately 0. I think he has some long distance mining. Stop dragging it out, MaNa, said Morrow. I have 9,000. It's true. Right now, 9,000. He was exaggerating a tiny bit, but he was predicting the future by about 10 seconds. Again, not targeting the bodies exceptionally well. Still 7 carriers. Gosu carrier won't help you. Again, I just love this setup so much. I love these guys. I really do. I too have Goliath talent. Yeah, MaNa is dragging this out. This game is over. 176 to 67 supply is ridiculous. Look, he's not even bothering to micro his guys. He's not. He's killing interceptors right now. The interceptor count is not as high as it should be for 7 carriers because so many of them have died, and there's not really enough money to replace all of them, as MaNa's down to 21 minerals. And I think that's it. I think that's all the minerals he's going to be able to get this entire game. He's not replacing that bottom right-hand game, or right-hand base. And even with the Gosu carrier micro, which has been fairly Gosu, considering he hasn't lost any yet, as far as I can tell. I think he made 7 carriers, and then he stopped being able to make any more because the economy was in the garbage. Because Morrow was such in the lead after that game, where he expanded a bunch and took out a ton of MaNa's probes. I mean, that is the key to winning any game. Expand a ton, kill your opponent's economy, win. That's it. That's your recipe. It sounds very simple. It is not. It is not very simple. Yeah, man, this game's over. I'm working on +2 attack for vehicle. Still no upgrades for the ground? I don't think there are any upgrades for ground units. Not that there are any left, it would seem. I mean, probes don't count, but they don't have any upgrades either. Not that they benefit from attack upgrades, but they do benefit from armor and shields, and they don't have any of those. So, carriers in a base race scenario, you will lose it, says MaNa. As you said in previous games. Again, 2 friends, practice game. MaNa got outclassed. He just did. You saw what his plan was, what he was trying to do here, but there's your good game. You want a rematch? No! Says Morrow. I'm going to take my win and feel good about it. Gosh dang it. Dude, the 7 carriers are still alive. Oh, nope. That's a not anymore situation here. There we go. Carrier starting to die. I think we're down to 5 interceptors, 3 interceptors, another 5 interceptors. Kill my buildings, says MaNa. Why are you BMing? I mean, this is technically BM. And as I continue to interpret this chat as to be friendly, I think it is. I think it's still friendly here. I believe MaNa is probably upset about getting Vulture dropped as much as he was and losing as much economy as he did. Well, that's alright. It happens. Happens to the best of us. Happens to legends like MaNa too. Is he seriously going to make Morrow kill all of his buildings? Whatever. Good game. MaNa's out. Morrow is your winner in 30 minutes and 33 seconds. Yeah, that was it's one of those games where the early damage is done and it's hard to come back from, and in fact the losing player could not come back from it. He had a plan, just couldn't execute because he didn't have the economy to support the carrier production or the arbiter production that he needed. So yeah, Morrow kind of messing around there, not really target firing the carriers all that much, just kind of happy killing interceptors, recognizing that MaNa's on a low economy and eventually won't be able to replace them. That's still a win, but man, 20, 22, 23, and 16 kills on these carriers that live, with 15 on that guy too. So good game there from Morrow. Seriously nice play. The Vulture drops were sick. The constant expansion and expanding was awe-inspiring to see from a Terran player. Don't see a lot of that on the channel, especially against somebody as good as MaNa is. But Morrow was feeling his oats. Got it done, had a plan, and executed it. End of the day! 214,000 points for Morrow, 173 for MaNa. Units killed here is about the same. A lot of spider mines dead for Morrow, kind of inflate that number. But this is the play right here. If you get outmined in gas by this much, and outmined in minerals by this much, and outspent by about 30,000 resources, maybe 25,000 resources, you've had a bad day. And MaNa had a bad day. So good job by a Terran player getting a win in TPP whose name was not Flash, and in fact was Morrow. So my estimation of Morrow, I think, goes up a bit. I really enjoyed this win from him. Just showed that he can outclass MaNa given the right situations and the right scenarios and just good execution. Amazing. All right, well, that's going to be it for me today. This has been Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.